Hello and welcome to another episode of Words with Myself. Imagine you are looking at a number, and this number is the number 6. You are staring at it. You can see it so clearly. It's in front of you. There is a 6 in front of you. And then someone comes along and they tell you that that's not a 6. And you're going back and forth. You're adamantly trying to convince them that this number is the number 6. You can clearly see it's the number 6. And after a little while of back and forth and arguing and tensions rising and escalating, you decide that this person is either delusional, blind, or crazy. For you know the truth. You know what you are looking at is a number 6. It's in front of you. All the evidence you need is right before your eyes. And yet it turns out that the person was neither delusional, nor blind, nor crazy. They saw a number 9 because they were standing from a different perspective. I'm sure many of us often have arguments of this nature, where we're desperately trying to convince someone of our truth, of the things that we see so clear and evident. And we get into this back and forth and we think, how can you not see this? How can you not see this? It's right in front of you. And yet the other person is feeling in exactly the same way. The reason why we get into these types of arguments is because even though we know it to be true, we still harbour doubt. And in an attempt to convince the other person, we are also attempting to solidify and reaffirm our own belief, our own certainty of what is evident to us. And this is why if they begin to make some logical reasonings and a coherent argument against your case, you begin to feel angry and the tensions increase because you want to be right and you want to convince this person that you are right because you want to convince yourself you are right. But just like the case of the 6 and the 9, two things can be right, and what is true to you doesn't have to be true to someone else. Two things can also be true at the same time. It all depends on the matter of perspective. The problem arises when we try to convince others of our truth, when we try to convince others that what we believe is what they should believe, instead of saying, I know my truth, and I need not convince anyone of it. I don't need to prove it. I don't need to justify it. I just know that it's true for me, and that's okay. Let's take synchronicities, for example. Let's say that, you're going about your day and you think, I really want a pie. And what comes to work that day? A pie truck. And it's never come before. And you go, wow, that is the most amazing synchronicity. I feel like I manifested that. That's what I've wanted all day and it's come just for me today. And then someone would say, no, that's just a coincidence. That has nothing to do with you or the universe. You didn't manifest it. It's just a random occurrence that happens to align. Now, you can go back and forth with this person, trying to describe all the times this happens and how there is no real such thing as coincidence, or these things happen too often to be a coincidence. You can go back and forth with this person, arguing till the cows come home, and it won't get you any further. Both of you have your points of view, and from your perspective, your truth is right. The person who believes in there is no such thing as synchronicities or divine alignment or anything of that nature. Things just are, and things happen randomly, and sometimes those random things have a correlation without a causation. Now, person A who believes in synchronicities, their confirmation bias will look to affirm this belief in future events. When things come up, they will go, look, there's another synchronicity, there's another synchronicity, there's another synchronicity. And it will just keep happening to them. And they'll think, wow, this is wonderful, I was right. And person B will go away and they will see complete randomness. And their confirmation bias will look to affirm this. They will see all of these events and just how peculiar and odd and how misshapen and unaligned they are. How nothing really fits together and everything just happens and there doesn't seem to be a reason or a cause for it. It's just completely random. And they will go, see, I was right. Things just have no meaning. They are just completely random. And person A was basically crazy. So now you have person A and person B, they're both living their truth. And the evidence that is right in front of them is both confirming exactly what they believe. So it's true to them. And now they've gone their separate ways and don't have to convince each other. They're actually living in this state where both of them believe they are right and are experiencing life completely differently, from a completely different perspective. And oftentimes these arguments are two sides of the same coin anyway. Someone could say, from a nihilistic point of view, life has no meaning and it's pointless. And what's the point in living? Why not just give up? If it's just pain and suffering, why not just give up? It has no meaning. There's no point in it. Everything's random. So why do I have to be here? And another person could see all the meaning in life. They could see having their children, having purpose, having these gifts that they need to fulfill, these experiences that they need to have, and that being all meaningful to them. Yet these completely opposite opinions are not quite opposites at all. And when you look at them more closely, you see that they're actually very close together. That life has no meaning is true, but it has no inherent meaning, meaning that we have to give life meaning. And even though both parties are right in their statements that there is some wonderfully meaningful stuff in life, that having kids and a purpose and enjoying life, that's what makes life meaningful, is right. But at the same time, the nihilist who says there's no meaning is also right. They are just looking at it from two different perspectives. And we often think about these kind of arguments, these dichotomies, as a line, that there is one end and the other end. But really, every dichotomy, every opposite, is actually a circle. And the ends meet right in the middle. And it's not quite as opposite as we are led to believe. It's more like yin and yang, where they are two halves of the same thing, and neither half can exist without the other. But the search for an absolute truth, this is right and nothing else is, that is what destroys people. That is what causes unhappiness. That's what causes wars. That's what causes all disharmony between people, is when they are so adamant on their own beliefs that they cannot extend the courtesy to someone else to say, you know what, maybe you just have a different perspective to me. I know I'm right, but you know you're right. And I don't need to convince you, and you don't need to convince me. We can both appreciate each other's sovereignty and let each other have our own experiences without needing to decide who is right and who is wrong. Because the answer is, you're both wrong and you're both right. There are very little, if any, absolute truths. There is almost nothing, if anything, that we can say for absolute 100% certainty. And yet many of us go around so certain of who we are and what is and what the rules are and what should be and what shouldn't be, that we leave very little room for this flexibility of understanding. That we could be wrong about everything and we could be right about everything. Or maybe a better way to put it is that there is no right or wrong, and that what you choose to believe and what you see as truth is, and what you see as false isn't. And yet, in the same way, on the opposite side, it both isn't and is. Life is a paradox, and the more we accept it as such, and the less we try to justify, and the more we just lean into being ourselves and knowing our truth rather than the truth, the more we can be at peace and fully enjoy our experience for what we want it to be. I will leave you with one final example, that you've walked into a room and it's very crowded and you're feeling a bit self-conscious. You believe that everyone is looking at you, and as you look around the room, you start to see these eyes glance in your direction, and you think, why is everyone looking at me? And yet, in truth, most people probably don't even know you're there. and they're just looking around the room, and yet we believe that they're looking at us. We are confirming our own bias. And yet when we leave the room, we look at our shoe and we see a long strip of toilet paper attached to the bottom of it. And we think, oh my God, that's why they were all looking at me. That's the reason. Everyone was staring at me because I had toilet paper on my shoe. And that makes it true. That's given a reason, a cause. Yet, in the same vein, we don't know. That doesn't justify it. That's not a true reason. We don't know that anyone was still looking at us. It could have been just as inconsequential as you walking in the room and believing that everyone was looking at you. That bit of toilet paper doesn't actually justify anything. People still might not have been looking at you. People might not have even noticed you. But we take that as evidence. So the next time you find yourself arguing with someone or trying to convince them of something, ask yourself why you feel the need to convince this person, what you are trying to achieve. For you could be wrong. And even if you are right, they could be right too. It just depends on your perspective. Thank you for listening.